Greetings, Monday night. For those of you who are in YouTube land right now, watching from the clouds, uh, this is Kev, and this is another BMBBH. Just forward. Be mindful of the ticker scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Has some very important stuff in it, include my Cash App if you, of course, want to support. If not, that is fine too. But I just, thought I'd put it there for y'all. And also, if you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Um, and most importantly, hit that like button. Um, yeah, likes are for free and they are for the algorithm. Yeah. Uh, just kind of, doing this like off the rip. This is like no topic in particular, but just been hearing a lot of negative feedback about black male podcasters and how everybody's tired of black male podcasters, how they wish we go away. Um I'm like, ugh, whatever. Yeah, I don't know, but there's this video going around posted on social media. I saw it on Facebook. Seemed like this alphabet guy. I mean, I don't know if he's alphabet, but if I could take a guess, um, yeah, seemed very irate about black male podcasters uh, talking about relationships and who we won't date and who we warn men to stay away from, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting up here like, first off, let me just say this: this guy's receiving a lot of praise, I would say, from B Dubs about what he has said because of course, B Dubs are tired of hearing black male podcasters who let me clarify myself, who aren't simps, that we have a lot to say about the opposite sex and the behaviors that we see. Well, I'm just, I'm a defender of freedom of speech, even if I am tired of certain podcasts that disparage black men, and we know those exist. Um, I'm a very staunch advocate for freedom of speech. Let them do it. Let them have it. And although we should, as black men, be getting the same respect in return, likelihood of that happening is probably not going to be there. And by this time, we should all be used to it. What's going on, Phil, Brad? Good to see you again, brother. Um, yeah, it's this it is because of the popularity of the black male podcast. I mean, but why us? Why us? Because we have a certain expectation when it comes to this quote unquote community. Is it because we're tired of seeing certain things out here, behaviors, whether it comes from other men or other women, and we just need a place to voice it? Infantry skills, what's going on? Is that it? Is everybody tired of hearing that? Are we? Are there a bunch of son husbands and simps that are tired of hearing black men disparage your God? You know, is it hood guys who's tired of hearing the who they like to call lames? I mean, what is it? What is it? What is it? You know what though? I'm fine with it. Number one, I'm a black man. Very proud to be one too. I mean that's no lie by any stretch of the imagination. Feel Brad, learn something new every day. Yeah, man, shit. Like Jamel Hill, she's even said that she doesn't understand why so many black males have podcasts and they're just very ugly to black women. And she also said along with this is she doesn't understand. I mean, well, she honestly does not see black female podcasters gaslighting black men like this, which we know is a goddamn lie. But anyway, is some people are just so narcissistic they can't see the fault in the things that they say. And there's also this screenshot of a tweet going around where this young lady apparently is saying, "Why are black men doing podcasts instead of going to therapy?" And there was this slick response to it right underneath. Some guy responded saying, "Just like y'all get an OnlyFans account instead of going to get a job," which I thought was funny. Um, but yeah, is that I'm not one of these guys that feel like that I represent the collective of black men. I can only represent me. So what I'm saying is, men like me know how to give the respect of, you know, respecting the freedom of speech of another person, no matter how much they disparage us. Roger Report, my habitual line stepper brother. Yeah, and look what he said. One of the most important phrases in all of social media. Long live the habitual line steppers. Long live, my brother. Long live. That's what I'm. But here's what I'm saying is like, if a person like me, who is very harsh and brutally honest, can respect the freedom of speech of podcasters that don't necessarily like black men, then why can't everyone show us the same respect? Anthony Drosos, what's going on? Terenzo Jones, what up? Yeah, and I get it, and I get it. They don't like black men, heterosexual black men in particular. I is that's something that I would say I'm used to, but you never can really get used to it. I'm listening. What's going on? Good to see y'all again. Yeah, thanks for coming through, y'all. I just created this broadcast. I usually go ahead and create these broadcasts 2 days in advance or something like that. Viscount Crypto 76. What's going on? Long live. But we're obviously getting more popular, as in, the black male podcaster. We're getting more popular. And our message is getting out there because, if if you got some alphabet Caucasian guy having to make a video that instantly goes viral about how he's tired of black male podcasters when our relationship talk, then our message is obviously working. So, American Negro, what's going on? Hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power. What is up? What we're doing is working. No matter how many other black male podcasters may be saying that we're wasting our time. Antonio Labs, what's going on? Yeah, I watched that video. I could only like tolerate like a minute of it. I don't know when somebody's when someone is someone is I don't know, being all sassy and on their sister girl and they're a male, then it's just I can barely stand it. Your fave persuasion. Straight white men are sick of y'all nakers too. It's not just LGBT white men. Whoop de doo. But thank you for the news flash. But I mean, you're tired of it. I mean, people are tired of it because it has a hint of truth to it. It's always been able to uh, accompany with a certain balance of power. Is and like I've said in the past, the previous generations of men either did not have the platform to speak or did not speak at all, like not even in our homes. And I also have this other viewpoint about Caucasian men. This is for people like your fave persuasion. Um, they need to stay in their own fucking lane. Seriously. We are not our grandparents, and a lot of us ain't our parents either. We will knock your ass out. And that's not me inciting violence, but through historically, for all the acts of violence perpetrated against black men, black women, and black children, shit, they can take a few words. And the funny part about it is, why are they getting tired of something that no one is forcing them to watch? Like none of like seriously, like I know the podcasts that disparage black men exist. I know who the content creators are, but nobody's forcing me to watch those people. I mean, in fact, I don't even watch them for real, for real. I mean, shit, I'm sub to a lot of them because I support black content creators. But I also understand that everyone doesn't have my resolve. They wish we would go away, which I'm sorry, probably not gonna happen. I mean, 10 of our channels can get snipped, 20 more channels will pop up. Shoot, there are some content creators that I didn't even know existed that's on the same stuff that we're on. I mean, I only recognize the ones that are local to this space, but more and more are popping up in my feed. So this is not going away anytime soon. Hybrid catastrophic X impact X83rd power. Yes, but I don't watch her stuff. I mean, I just don't. I look at the title and I'm just like, ugh. But if you're going to defeat the opposition, you have to have some type of understanding as to how the opposition moves. This is what I need you guys to understand. I actually used to, and I'm going to confess, I actually used to be kind of cool with Nyla. She was in the Facebook group, and when she started YouTube, I even went on one of her shows. I mean, I don't believe that's a possibility at this point that, I don't believe that's a possibility to ever like be able to professionally work with someone like that. Yeah, so that's all I'll say about that. I'll say that much. But this is it, guys. I always said that this space, and if you do have a channel, you do have the opportunity to get this message out here. Whatever you do with your channel, some of you might be in other lanes. Some of y'all are in the entertainment lane. Some of y'all are in the geek culture lane. But I'm in the brutally honest lane. I'm in the habitual line stepper lane because I have to be honest. There are certain things that I'm tired of looking at, that I'm tired of seeing us do. That I'm tired of seeing people harmed because of the horrible behavior and the horrible logic that reigns supreme out here, that continues to make us look bad as a people. And I'm not going to pretend like it's all good, because it isn't. It isn't. It hasn't. I don't believe it has ever been. I mean, well, we always go back and refer back to the 1950s and the 1960s, where the black community was at its highest, because um, for starters, we were segregated. So we knew who had each other's backs. Not saying that it was perfect, not saying that it went without its issues, but it did seem back in those days we were more together. Now it's just one big clusterfuck. And my best advice to each and every one of you is always going to be, just become the best version of yourself. Doesn't matter if you're 15, 25, 35, or even 45. I mean, shit, just before you check off this mud ball, granted, you have the opportunity, become your best self. But if you need a little encouragement along the way, and you have no one in your life that can do that, then there is the Black Male Podcast. This there was there My intention was never to divide black people. It was never that. It was never to keep us at odds. It was never to, keep this so-called quote unquote gender war going. Because believe me, we're hemorrhaging right now. We're bleeding. D Scott, what's going on? Good to see y'all. And make sure y'all pressing like. Make sure y'all pressing that like button, please. Likes are for free. It's for the algorithm. And we need more eyes on this channel. We need more eyes on the habitual line steppers. It was never my intention to divide us, but to get us talking. And y'all Negroes get on my nerves. Yeah, they get on my nerves too sometimes, but guess what? They are our people. Just ask yourselves, who would you rather deal with? I'm not talking about relationship wise, because I don't dick police. Date who you want to date. But who would you rather deal with, as far as on a communal level and on a unity level? Would you rather deal with other black people, or would you rather deal with, I would say, Asian, Hispanic, Caucasian, and As much as Negroes get on my nerves, I'd much rather deal with us. I really would. I mean, I know some of you might not agree, but it is what it is. I'd rather deal with us. I'd rather see us win. I'd rather see us improve, especially black men. Especially black men. Because believe it or not, we are the most valuable asset in this community. It's children as well, because children are our future. I do believe that. But, we as black men, we're the strength. These guys said I fuck with people that fuck with me. I'd rather them look like me, but if they don't, they're not family, but we can agree on most things outside of race. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. But if only black men knew how important and powerful that we were, instead of letting every little stupid thing divide us, like we see here out in the everyday life. Because I mean, I know there are certain sets of black people that I couldn't even approach with a hello. I bear witness to it. And I'm one of the most open and nicest people that you will probably ever meet. I may not look it on my face because I keep a very straight faced tone as far as I'm concerned. But and I'm not one to be run over. But as far as being very personable, that's me. I do a podcast because for the simplest of reasons, because I want to do one. And there are things that need to be discussed, especially among men, among black men, among heterosexual black men. Not to say that, we can't be inclusive of the other group, but there's not much for us to talk about. Not seriously. It's not. It really is, like, as far as like alphabet black guys. I mean, it's not really that much for us to talk about. It is what it is. I mean, like, as far as the relationship chatter, there's nothing you can tell me if you're alphabet. Hybrid says, I honestly don't blame black men that walk around with a mean mug, considering all we have to deal with. Black men are getting hit from every angle. Mm-hmm. That's correct, Hybrid. And that is why it is imperative that we somehow can get on a, if not the same page, a similar page. That man said, fuck being inclusive, majority rules. Okay, then. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Let me get back. Let me get back to this. Like, I just don't like it when I don't like it when, like, white guys have all this negative BS to say about any level of black man. Like I got through saying a few minutes ago, they need to stay in their fucking lane. I ain't got time for that shit. I don't. I ain't got time for. I ain't got time for this. I ain't got time for this constant dick envy. I don't have time for this. Oh, saying that they're superior, they're smarter, and they're better. I ain't got time for all of that. because I mean I can be brutally honest with them at any time. Look, you haven't done anything without the help of other groups of people. You're just super fucking lucky. Jamil Sword, what's going on? Yeah, the Roger Report was here earlier. I don't know if he might still be watching. Brother's a hard worker outside of his YouTube channel. Hybrid Catastrophic Impact X83rd Power says, I remember when Wigatron, let me put that up there. Put this comment. I remember when Wigatron got a white man to call her stream to talk smack about black men. And let me tell you something, that's not anything that he will ever do amongst a group of black men who are of a like mind or who think like me. What's going on, Weather? Tell you what, I haven't seen indigenous TV in a couple days. Where that dude at? But yeah, that guy was named Brian. See, but with these podcasts, with these YouTube channels, it's easy to talk shit about a person or people who are not in your face or sitting 3 feet from you. Yeah, that's easy. That's the easiest thing in the world. That's the easiest thing in the world to talk shit. Especially I mean I grew up in Montgomery, Alabama. The Red Mass Channel. What's going on? Good to see you. But let me tell you something. In Montgomery, we had them shook. They had to stay in their corners. If they intermingled with us, it was a very respectful tone. They only get Brody when they was around them acceptance niggas. And I can't stand them. Those dudes, are, the acceptance niggas, are very, what I like to call low vibrational. The ones where the white dude would say a rap lyric or say yo or wear a hat backwards, and the accepting niggas would be like, oh, that's a cold ass white boy. Oh, ooh, I hate that shit. Cause I told y'all about this. Cause I told y'all about the whether say I got no issue with white guys. Well, I mean that's you. I mean that's probably due to whatever corner of the country you're from. But I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this. There was one that he was cool with all the black guys, but I went to his house to, I don't know, I think get some weed or something like that. We had to pick up some weed. He stayed with his sister and her husband, and there, right there, they had this big ass picture of a white couple. Looked like it was back in the times of the Confederacy. She was wearing a ruffled dress. He was wearing this little General Lee thing, and there was this Confederate army behind them with this big old Confederate flag and all this other stuff. And he was basically talking about some he don't like to talk about racism, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting up there like, yeah. I mean, I can see that shit a mile a fucking way. Michael Rappaport types. Yeah. Well, Michael Rappaport hadn't really said anything that is too crazy, has he? I mean, except for when he was on High Learning, but that was just acting. That was just a script. Jamil Sora says nothing says lame like a wigger. Hurry up and buy what's going on. That man said Jack Harlow type. Yeah, well, the sack chasers like Jack Harlow, so I guess that's supposed to mean that he's a you know he's supposed to be automatically accepted. I mean, I remember, man. I remember I had a homie that had his white homie that, I guess he smashed a couple of B dubs, so he thought that dude was cool. Which I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how many. I don't care how many B dubs these white dudes smash. Is just my whole thing is that's like really no reason to welcome them to the club or invite them to the cookout, because every time we do that, then one of those happen. And what I mean, creepy Cohen happens, or a Brian happens, or this this alphabet shyster happens. All they happen. They get a little bit too comfortable with being around us, and then they start to act like they can say any fucking thing they want. Which we gotta bring them back down to earth when they start acting like that. Like my father say, whenever you introduce yourself to one of them, give them a very firm handshake and look them dead in the eye. What up, Ray Hama Force? Hybrid Catastrophic Impact S83rd Power says, Kev, is Terry Crews invited to the next cookout, or does he still have a trespassing order? Yeah, that little bit he said about black supremacy, I didn't like that at all. But we'll give it a thought. See, the thing is, at the end of the day, Terry Crews is still a black man. I mean, even if he let some old measly, flabby Peckerwood fondle him in front of his wife, this guy has some childhood issues that need to be discussed. His dad beat his mom, and then it turns out that when he became a teenager, she asked him to pull down his pants to see his pubic hair, to see if he had gone into puberty. Which I don't know, them Hollywood types, they've gone through some weird shit. Oh Jesus! Not saying that's funny, but like I said, he on some extremely weird shit. Whether I agree with Terry Crews in that respect, black supremacy is a thing, but he needs to get his manhood back from that white guy. Ugh. Black supremacy. Somebody gonna have to explain that one to me, cause I don't know. I just have a different thought process when it comes to stuff like that. Hybrid says, "Damn, still surprised me that he didn't yoke the dude up and slam him on his head." Well, his excuse was, he didn't want to get blackballed in Hollywood. That's why when you make $1 million, you should. Well, that's why you make $1 million. You should only get a house that's in the low hundreds, thousands. Like if you make 1 million, or if you make 10 million, get a $300,000 house. That way, if you have to bail on Hollywood just because you got to fuck somebody up, Shit, at least your house is paid for. You ain't got to get a Rolls Royce, or you ain't got to get a Bentley. Hell, just get a nice Honda. Shoot, because you never know when you got to fuck somebody up. But anyway, Sir Ism, what's going on? Kev, you tired of me, bro? How? You ask me a question, I'm gonna ask you a question. How? Shoot, yeah, invest in property, open up a business, have have constant money coming in. You don't have to live high on the hog, but hey, what do I know? Black podcaster. Oh, black podcaster. No, I just you know, people there are people that have been coming out lately that have been saying that they are tired of black male podcasters. There was a there's you'll probably see it real soon. There's this video of this alphabet guy who went on this rant about how he's tired of black male podcasters talking about relationships. And I mean, you look at the comment section, you can only guess who is co-signing with it. I mean, it's mega co-signing. You spoke nothing but facts. It's like, and I mean, like he got like it's like it's over 1,000 comments already. And I mean, but when it's like that, then there must be some things that we as black male podcasters are doing correctly. You know, got it. Then got it. Then what is white supremacy? D. Scott, are you asking whether? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, these got. Oh, so the black supremacy is a pipe dream built on revenge. Well, black supremacy. I don't get that as a term, but if I am correct, I could give you an example of something I've seen. It's like, I don't know, say you're eating in a restaurant and you have a white waiter or a white server, and you think running that person to death is somehow a revenge for all of the decades of injustices done to blacks. I don't know. I don't know if that's a real good example, but does like a lot of people like D Scott, you mentioned WS as I like to call it. A lot of people like to say that's a myth and then it doesn't exist. And the black people who say that white supremacy doesn't exist are just people are people who just hmm they are under the belief that no one is superior is kind of an insecurity, the belief that no one is superior to them or they don't see a group of people that are superior to them. So the idea that white supremacy exists is crazy to them and they don't want to hear it. Uh, and I'm not going to even say that name, and I don't care if your dad has 2P. Uh, I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess you're a female, but mods, do what you got to do with that person. Yeah, but so far I got 30 in the building. Hope everyone is pressing like. Likes are for free. Terenzo Jones feels differently. There's no such thing as black supremacy, especially not in the world. In order to sustain it in the monetary currency, would have to present our images and not be funded on money with Caucasian images. Here's another thing. Here's another thing that I had to say. That I have to say about this whole white guy talking about he's tired of black male podcasters. Um, we find ourselves as black people, not so much a lot of us, but black people in general, especially the ones that vote Democrat. We do everything that they say. We follow suit to everything. Say for instance, like Juneteenth celebration. Instead of giving us reparations, and I'm one of those ones that believe that black people are owed something. If you're going to keep paying out billions of dollars to every other group, you need to give black people what we rightfully deserve. And of course, no one living today is a slave, but that was the intention. That's one thing that many of you have to understand. That was the intention, to withhold that money for us from so long that everyone who existed around that time period would die out in order to justify not giving us a payment for that. But you have a government, that pays out everybody except us. Even stuff that we didn't do as a country. We pay out. We pay groups of people out. Shit. Even in present day, we got our own government approving to send billions of dollars to a country full of Nazis. So if they keep paying all this money to other groups of people, like Obama, when he was in office, he gave reparations payments to people, to survivors of the Holocaust. And I get it. They got fucked over. They got worked over something serious. But I mean, shit. Whether in my world Christ reigns supreme, all others just chasing rusty crowns. No race is supreme in my eyes, nor do they deserve that supremacy. Hmm. Yeah, whites in the present day definitely do not deserve supremacy. But is it a legit construct? I mean, it's. I would say that it's a superficial construct in the way that when they control something, when they control something, they push their beliefs and they push their narratives, and those narratives aren't usually in favor of blacks. let me tell y'all something, man. And this is one of my wishes. This is one of my wishes. It's like whatever the white dudes have anything to say, man, we should be like about us especially. We should be checking them immediately. There should be there should be no visions of defeat. There shouldn't be any of them having to say anything about us. They need to stay over there in their in their Argyle sock lane or whatever. RPM, what's going on? I mean, they need to stay in their lane. I mean, shit. They need to worry about themselves. Mm, mm. Uh, Let me read this comment right here. I mean, it's not a comment that's currently in the chat. This is one of these old feminist misanders. She said, if single mothers are causing this and not black male culture, which they created with their partner in crime, white supremacy, then why the daughters who are raised in the same household commit significantly less crime, become business owners, and are much more literate? Because certainly our daughters would not turn out to be crimes at equal rates too, right? Get the fuck out of here. Stupidity is a choice. Hmm. Trizzo Jones says, I've watched documentaries on how money is created, and this money they're giving out to some and are psychologically forcing the masses to earn is literally worthless and created from thin air. Yeah, I believe it, and it's fucking up the economy too. You know, they make us pay for it. Hold on one second, y'all. Just one second. Hmm. All right, I'm back. Toya the tutor, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah. But I will repeat what I told Mr. Fantastic one time in a super chat. If they express that the things that you say they don't like, do it twice as hard. Do it twice as hard. Do it twice as hard. Don't let up. Don't show any mercy. Now is not the time. Now it's not the time. If they're tired of black male podcasters, drag their ass to sleep. Seriously. It ain't it is I mean, sure it's an option, but take the option. I'm not shutting up. Not gonna do it. The only thing that's gonna shut me up is death. Shoot. Look, guys. We let them off the hook enough. Our fathers, our grandfathers, they let them off the hook. And I'm not just talking about B dubs. I'm talking about these weak motherfuckers too. These weak motherfuckers, these men who say that they are embarrassed. These men that say that, that the ones that explain themselves to these misanders. It's not all of us. We're not all like that. Please, sister, please. Man, fuck all that. Let them think what they want to think. Let them believe what they want to believe. Because the more and more you try to deny it, the more and more they're going to double down. They're going to triple down. Shit. And let me tell you something. Yeah, these guys, fuck them Peckerwoods, fuck these Miss Andrews, fuck these old fourth wave feminists or whatever. Fuck all of them. Why they so tired of us? We've been tired of them for years. It's just that our fathers and grandfathers didn't have the sack to say anything. I mean, if your greatest adversary wears a wig, you have nothing to fear. Oh man, let me tell you who our greatest adversary is. Our greatest adversary is ourselves. To see the whole goal, just like when I go to the gym as an older gentleman, my greatest opponent is me. I'm trying to outdo myself each time I go in the gym. Same thing with, doing this YouTube channel. Try to outdo myself with every live. Try to outdo myself with every video. Cause I know that's a tough motherfucker to beat. That's why I say, like, the Wigged Warriors, they're see, here's the thing. They're really no challenge to debate because they come up with such horrible fallacies to debate with. It's almost as if they'll psych you out in you trying to debate them. Shit. Let me tell you something. If you try to debate a moron, what does that make you? Because in order for them to be a moron, they have to be what? Moronic. Shoot. And debating a moron is not that tough. It's not tough at all. So here's the thing. You shouldn't treat it as if it's tough. You shouldn't let yourself get worked up. It's just facts. If you understand that you are a smarter person or you're smarter than that, then you shouldn't have to work. That's why, like I said, a lot of these motherfuckers that be saying this crazy shit, and then people go on their panels to try to debate them. I mean, I get it. I mean, you have the freedom to do what you want to do, but and I understand that people aren't me. I wouldn't waste my time with these fuckers. I wouldn't even waste my time with them. I can't. I mean, it'll give me a headache. And, I'm not saying that I'm too good for people. I'm never that person. But I mean, for real, man, you might have to start thinking in that, in that framing. I mean, shoot, somebody told me a long time ago when I did get frustrated about stuff like this. He said, Kevin, you're just going to have to accept that a lot of people are just plain stupid. That most are. And I don't believe he was saying that to, you know, be smug. I believe he was saying that because that person was being extremely valid. Shoot, a lot of people that we're surrounded by are stupid. It's not that you're crazy, it's that they are stupid. And just I mean, I really just hate to put it that way. No, I don't. No, I don't. Shoot. But one thing I can accept is that there are others around me that are smart and that I can learn from. And that's what separates me from these idiotic motherfuckers. Regardless of how you may feel about me, that is barely an issue. But hey, just know that at the end of the day, I'm on y'all side. We're mostly on your side. I'm not gonna support stupid. I never will. Hmm. Mr. Z, what's going on? He says, Kev, I don't know if people are as stupid as we might say. They are uninformed and have agendas that screw their worldview. Hmm. Hmm. But that's Mr. Z, Mr. Black in Effect, Mr. Quote Fingers. Hybrid Catastrophic Impact X83rd Power says, it's hard to win an argument against an intelligent person, but it's impossible to win an argument against an idiot. Exactly. He said, I think I know where Indigenous TV is at. Oh, okay. Wherever he is, I hope he's good. I hope he is okay, Safe passage in whatever facets of life that he's in right now at this point. Toya the Tutor is singing the praises of Mr. Z right now. He must have said some real shit like he always does. Yeah. Let me drop this link. Copy. Yeah. And I hope everyone I hope that is in the chat, that is watching right now in the clouds, who has been to this broadcast maybe for a hot second, but had to go, back off and maybe catch a replay. I hope y'all pressing that like button. Likes are for free. Likes, like the or even dislike. Man, but I guess I've been so cool as of late with people that no one presses dislike on my videos. Or they know what happened when they do. But yeah. But being tired of the Black Male Podcast, let them get tired. Let them become even more tired. Shoot. The thing is, if you don't want Black Male Podcasters to talk, don't give us anything to talk about. Just that simple. Because a lot of Black Male Podcasters, we can, a lot of us really consider ourselves fixers. You know, setting the record straight. People who actually care. But what up, Toya?
Hey Kev, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I just came up here to say, yeah, Mr. Z got us all the way together this morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm assuming it was on Roger's channel.
No, it was on his own channel.
Oh, it was his own
But
channel. Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, but more along the lines of what you're talking about as far as, black podcasters and like you said, um the purpose that you serve. Uh
Mm.
I like the work that you're doing. I want you to keep doing it. I can only speak for me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate that. You've always been very supportive. But a lot of people just think that we're just up here because of things that have happened in our life that have had a negative impact, and we're somehow bitter for it. And I'm sitting up there like, even if there are some that are bitter for it, uh, there's still this thing called freedom of speech, and
Mhm.
it seems as if it's resonating with people who've had similar experiences. So let these people cook. That's what I'm saying.
All y'all can't be wrong. Just saying, the fact that there's a loud voice of many that come into spaces like these and have similar experiences, it's like it doesn't dawn on women, I think, to take a mirror out and take a look in it.
Mm,
So,
yeah, yeah, that's one of the best things for people to do is take a look in the mirror. I mean, it's not. It doesn't hurt. It's something that I've had to understand and realize.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, weather. You are Indigenous TV. Oh my God. Yeah, because he said he has a ranch. Like shit. Yeah, because oh God. Oh man, how did I miss that? uh shoot. But yeah. But when have you been doing content? Because I think I saw you the other day.
Yeah, I actually was up on YouTube crying the other day, so I'm not telling anybody to go watch that, but
Uh,
I haven't really been doing much of my own content lately. I started a new job recently and I've got some other stuff going on, so
mm,
that's taking precedent.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, especially if you're starting a new job, new position, you have to, get your footing with that.
Yeah.
but congrats.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, just I hope you do the absolute best and they pay you as much money as as you're absolutely worth. And
Well,
if
they didn't lowball me, I'll tell you that.
oh they didn't, okay, well
They didn't lowball me.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, but you be posting some stuff on Facebook, like, like seriously, like I just be like, yeah, Toya on some of that. She on some of that righteous shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The only things I post is the things that resonate with me.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I only got that Facebook page on the strength of the fact that um I I do a YouTube show with another group and he's like, "You got to get a Facebook page because we have a Facebook group." And I'm like, "I'm not on Facebook," but now I am.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I really wish you could have been around for the height of my Facebook group though.
I
But
know. I missed out.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, you see some of the tone by the way some of the people post. But
Yeah.
yeah, is some
It's
people.
mostly lighthearted.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be way worse than that. I mean, way like I used to be way worse than that. Like
Okay.
not so much worse as in, it's like why are people so stupid? So let me just throw
That's
something.
exactly why I got off Facebook. Right what you just said. Why are people so stupid?
I mean, the groups that are popping right now are the Kevin Samuel groups.
Okay.
Yeah, so and I mean, it's about the same thing. It's like people hop from Facebook group to Facebook group and say the same dumb shit, and it's just and personally, I don't want like I said, I don't want anybody to shut up. I just want people to keep exposing themselves.
Well, yeah. There is some value in that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it tells me that I've been right about a lot of this stuff I've been saying, but it gets to the point where it's like, how can people be so ridiculous on a consistent basis? Is beyond me. But what's even worse than that is they have people validating their stupidity.
Yeah,
And
because a lot of it goes unchecked. It's like, how do I recognize your stupidity if I'm also stupid myself?
mm, said Weather, hey Weather, you still got to get. Weather says Indigenous TV the channel is dead and I'm and buried. I'm not doing content anymore. I hate YouTube. Man, you still got to get a mic so you can become a panelist for this channel. You know, because I mean, some of the stuff you say, man, I think needs to be heard on a vocal level. But yeah. So what's the plan for you? Do you, like as far as you and YouTube told you, do you want the channel like you say everything's pretty much on the back burner right now? But
Hmm.
do you have any ambition for your channel? Do you want your channel to grow and you
Oh, for
still
sure. I do. And I want to be able to pour more into it when I have it to give.
Hmm, yeah. Yeah, 'cause I mean you had a pretty good platform going until that one SOB did
Right,
you in. But
right.
I think you got some respect in the space though. I
A
mean,
smidgen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's some people that like you that don't necessarily like me. you know,
What?
uh,
Wow.
no, I mean, like I've had a couple exchanges of people that have had some bad things to say about, I would say the manosphere, the black manosphere, and I'm just like, look, you drinking the Kool Aid, like fuck fuck out of here with that shit. And then I would get called a Kevin Samuels bussy warrior or whatever, and then it's just on and popping from there.
But you notice how ever since he has left us, a lot of that content is has ceased to exist. There's a lot of recycling going on right now.
Oh yeah, a lot of people trying to call themselves they're trying to call themselves getting the message out or
Hmm.
stealing his shit and trying to make it seem like it's their own.
Yep.
Talking about you guys talking about the Kevin copycats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those. Even when he was alive, there was a couple of minority couples on YouTube and stuff like that were jacking his style, starting call-in shows. I mean, actually, I mean, to a certain respect, it's got to be good for the culture. But I mean, I don't know. I think people should be more upfront with their intentions and their actual feelings about the information instead of just because what a lot of happens, Kevin. What we notice is people will talk shit and then like 2 3 months down the line, you'll see them switch their platform up. Which is,
Yeah.
I mean, we just seen a couple big channels. I don't know if you do name dropping on here, so I'm gonna ask for
Go ahead.
just for example, Jason Black definitely over there on his business channel. Anyway, I seen Kendra G has she's made a big adjustment with how she deals with black women just by the influx of black women and the amount of problems she's heard. I can just see it on her face, like the frustration of having almost every if not every call be about some pretty much some bullshit. Um, or something that is a lot of this stuff. A lot of these chicks when they call in, a lot of this stuff is very self-explanatory. So I mean, I can understand the ire from a lot of these people that are new into the game. But
Hmm.
Pookie, you have to understand. Shout out to everybody on the panel, everyone listening in
Mr.
the chat.
Z.
what's up,
What's
Mr.
going
Z?
on,
What's up,
Kev?
Toya? My bad. How you doing, Kev? Thank you for letting me on the platform.
Yeah,
Word.
thank you for letting me on the platform, also, brother. Pookie, you have to understand. Jason been in this space before we even had a title of Black Manchester. He used to call in the Tommy Show. I've spoken to Jason multiple times, going back over a decade now. So and yes, Kevin did say certain things that Jason might have said before. So Jason is that's a little different. But with Kendra G, you are 100% correct. I have definitely, and I see the frustration on her face also. She has pretty much turned herself into the female Kevin, right, as best as she could. And you could see it in her face. I don't think she's going to be in this space for a decade. I give her maybe 3 4 5 years because she's going to be Yana Van Zant. She's going to be Rebecca Lynn Pope. She's going to be what's the other sister name that was
April Mason.
April
You talking
Mason.
sister
Yes.
got April
No,
Mason?
April Mason.
Six.
Yeah, because
I mean,
you got to
a
understand,
little
like,
bit of six that got it, a little bit.
when even other women, they don't. The thing is, with men, we really go into detail about kind of what we're seeing when it comes to kind of the when I say modern, I'm saying what a particular epoch of time has produced in human beings. So I'm really starting to clock at like 1980, right, with the Reagan era on up, 1981 on up, or if you really want to go late Carter administration, and what that's produced in human beings, in particular women, and even more particularly Black women. Rebecca Lynn Pope, Um, April Mason, none of them really touch on it exactly. Kevin got the closest to it. Kendra G, let's see, but you would really get the answers from men, right? Women are not about changing systems or not, maybe not even necessarily about challenging them. They're really about getting into the most comfortable place in those systems as humanly possible. And that's what we saw with Kevin's show every day. Well, every other night, right? Um, Tying that to what Kevin was speaking about earlier. Kev, you know what's sad about a lot of these black content creators, these males that are not in this space? All they're doing is filling women with drugs, right? And like, we have Toya up here, and like, I'm making a statement, but it's a question also. Like, I don't know where we would necessarily go with continuing to lie to women about the overall economic and political landscape, because people could lie to you when you're in your 20s and you could still get it together by 30 maybe, right? That's why Raj put the age at 30. But if people are lying to you as a woman all through your 30s, maybe even your early 40s, you can't take that back. By the time you realize how much the society was placating you and lying to you, I don't really know where you go from there. Like, they were lying to you about you can have it all. Maybe you can have it all, but not at the same time, right? But like, they were lying to you about what men are. They were lying to you about aging and femininity and childbearing and child raising. They just kept on placating you and telling you the type of things you wanted to hear. So, I mean, when I listen to these other black content creators, the Derek Jacksons of the world, right? These placaters, I think they're doing women an extreme disservice. I can't even put it in words how much of a disservice they're doing them, because you're lying to them and then you're sending them out into this world to deal with the lie. And it's not just lying. We're talking about like billions of dollars of advertisement and lies, right? Between television shows, movies, commercials, politicians, corporations, just ego stroking them to death. And then they come out in the real world and then they got to deal with us, normal dudes,
I'm
right?
sorry, Mr. Z. I couldn't hear
Go
you
ahead,
all over all my women's empowerment. I missed all of that. I I just, there's so much black girl magic going on over here. It's really hard to hear.
Man, look, black girl magic is real, but a lot of it is fake. I really do believe, like, if I look at it in a vacuum, black women have made major strides over the past 40, 50 years, and I won't even take that away from them. But I will
Sure.
say it ain't what you think it is, right? Like, that's what I
Mhm.
always tell black women. Like, it ain't what you made major strides. Y'all got a Supreme Court judge, y'all got a VP. We can't count how many judges around the country and attorneys. Oh my God, like, you know, nurses, between, especially if you start counting black immigrant also nurses, like, it's
Just
just
about to say
insane,
that.
right? You're right.
Yep.
But here's the issue. What does that mean at the end of the day? Like, if who said this a couple days ago? If like oh yeah, it was me. But if you go to sleep at night pissed off, lonely, vibrator need new batteries, and you on your second tub of ice cream, like, what's the point? And not even just that, you haven't dated or had a serious relationship in a decade.
But I have my sisterhood. You know, that's what you guys are missing here.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
the
yeah.
sisterhood will always be there for me because she's got ice cream too. And she's got cats, and we can talk about our cats together.
Not cats.
And the cacophony is real. You don't understand. You
But the
really don't.
sisterhood, the sisterhood is calories without the nutrients.
Yeah. The
You know?
exact opposite of Soylent. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. That's so. And going tying this to what Kevin is saying about these black male content creators and podcasters, that's outside of the black manosphere, the Derek Jacksons of the world. They're also calories without the nutrients because they're telling you what you want to hear. And that's enough to get you through the day. And you do that day by day, and that's a week. And you do a week by week, and that's a month. And you do a month by month, and that's a year. and you could possibly be looking at 5, 6 years, 7 years you haven't been in no relationship.
Well,
That to
think
me that's
about what you
frightening.
just said. Think about what
Yeah.
you just said in relation to BBLs.
Uh, yeah.
Like, if I'm not even willing to face the facts about what I really need for nutrition, and I'm willing to settle for something that's less than nutrition or malnutritious, then
Mm-hmm.
the same could be said for all these BBLs that folks are out there getting it. It's like, it goes along with the culture now. I'm not willing to work for it, but I can pay for it. Fill me up with things that are not natural because I don't need that. I just need it to look real, or I need it to look good,
And
or taste good, or feel good.
I was tempted to try to get into contact. And Kev, I'll do this admission on your channel. So I guess hear ye, Mr. Z admitting some shit. Um, so I was tempted because I posted in my community chat, excuse me, um, Kim from For Harriet and her, I guess, somewhat casting call, and I was tempted to get in contact with her and be like, I'll go on, but I don't know if I'm the best representative of this kind of black manosphere, and and I'm tying that to the conversation overall because I just watched her interview with Amanda Seales, who I always thought was pretty, but like Tariq's kind of flamed her, and he was right. Like she's pretty, but her sex appeal is garbage. Um, which is like you could be pretty and not have sex appeal, ladies. It is true. Um, so she's pretty, but her sex appeal meh. But the comedy hype dude, I think, was it comedy hype? It might have been another channel, but they were interviewing her and they brought up Kevin Samuels, and she was saying how Kevin Samuels wasn't, you know, grounding the conversation. He was having a superficial conversation, and like I almost exploded when I was watching that, and I'm like, for this educated, and this I keep on going to this because it speaks to us being really human beings. You keep on running into educated people that can't put one and one together to equal two. So Amanda Seales, you've watched a couple of Kevin Samuels videos, and you see that he's being superficial, and yet you don't see the women coming on asking him for everything in men that's superficial. So you didn't see none of that part. Do you understand that when men and even other women have conversations with these particular women about how they sound and what they're asking for, and we tell them, hey, men are human beings, they're breathing, living, fleshy, you know human beings. They have spirits, they have wants also. They're not just these tools to be used and discarded, you know and do you understand that? And it's interesting to see the the Amanda Seals of the world not understand that the reason why Kevin is responding in a very superficial way is because these women are coming in the door superficial. Tie that to the subject. When you see, and yes, this is a woman, but when you see educated women, supposedly, right, intelligent women, now that's true. Now, the education, that's one thing, but intelligent women, they have this big blind spot of bias. That I think is what's dangerous, because when you see someone like Amanda Seales is older than me by a few years. I'm gonna be 36, right, in a few months. So that means Amanda Seales maybe touching 40. And like it's I think the sad part is how blind a person like that is, or like they pretend like women don't also have self-interest. And sometimes that self-interest is hypocritical. And sometimes that self-interest is surface level, right? And sometimes that self-interest it's nothing but them wanting someone to placate them, right? And
But
they get caught up in.
she just experienced that, Z.
Oh, go into that.
With, with the real. She was on that show. She made
Yep.
contributions to
I
that
remember.
show.
Hmm.
And they just did a recap or some sort of memorial for the show, and they completely left her out of it. And she had an issue with that.
And she was
So
on there for what, a couple months, right?
She was on there,
2
I
months.
think, for about 6 months, half a
Oh, I
year.
didn't know it was that long. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I thought it was like
yeah,
2, 3 months.
yeah. But that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, if you can draw a parallel here because she clearly
Yeah.
didn't get the memo then. You
Yeah.
joined a show that is purely superficial and based on pop culture, which is not your
Yep.
lane. And then
Yep.
you got mad when they said, no, we don't want to talk about the things you want to talk about.
Yep. Yep. Well, to be honest, on the real, it's fucked up. Amanda Seals, me having so many issues with her when it comes to a lot of things, right? Like what she did, when she spoke about that brother that was the football player that became a doctor and everything.
Myron
Yeah,
Roll.
Myron Roll, yes, Myron Roll. I have so many issues, but it's fucked up. I'm about to say this. She was the realest person on the real,
No,
and
she
that's a
was.
low
I
ass
totally
bar.
agree.
That's a low ass bar, right? She was the
Hmm.
realest person on the real, and they X'd your ass out on their pretty much memorial because yeah, they're ending the show, right? So like
Yeah.
they pretty much X'd you out like you were never on there. That's
Mhm.
and you
Like, that's
still
the
don't get it?
biggest beef gotcha ever. And she's so loud, which a lot of
Hmm.
black women are,
Hmm.
she can't hear her own self-destruction.
Wait a minute, rewind. You know when somebody says something, you don't know if they know how deep what they said is? I think that's you right now, Toya. Wait a minute, say that again. I don't think you understood what you just said.
Yeah,
And
I
that's not
meant
an
it.
insult, by the way. Say it. Say it again. Say it
Yeah,
again. Say it again.
she's so loud she can't hear her own self-destruction. That's been plaguing black women for years.
That that needs to be a meme. That's
Yeah.
meme worthy
Mm.
because I think that's a lot of people, even when we take it outside of black women, but black women, namely, if we're going to talk about black women,
Yeah.
you're so loud you can't even hear your own self-destruction. And I think that is what we see in these spaces, and what, tying to the subject, what these black male content creators do is they give you the blowhorn.
Mhm.
They give you the blowhorn to be louder, right? Or they harmonize with you to add on to the effect of the loudness, right? To give the loudness some more volume.
Yeah,
And
a little razzle
that's
dazzle.
a little razzle dazzle, right? Give you a little sparkles in the background, And what that does in the long run is it's kind of a drug. But when you find, because life is going to wake you up, unfortunately, that wake up could be 50, 48, 45, 55, right? And when you wake up, it's so late in the game. And I've watched, like, as a 30, about to be 36-year-old, I've watched older women. I've seen it with my own, we've all seen it. Forget just me. We've all seen it with our aunts, with our older girl cousins, with, you know, who else? Maybe if we have older siblings that may be a decade older than us, if you're in your mid 30s, you've seen it. If you're in your late 30s, you've definitely seen it. If you're in your 40s, obviously, right? And like, it's unfortunate, right? And once again, these black male content creators that don't occupy this space, they're just giving them more delusions to live off of, to cope with life over the next 5 or so years of their life. And that's why I brought up Amanda Seals earlier, is because that blind spot, it's so glaring. And even the commentary that I did on Kim from For Harriet this morning, it's so dangerous because we're not talking about dumb women. I think I want to stress that. We're talking about like Toya level plus educated women, right?
Who are
And like
biased, who have like
the
a one
bias,
itis,
yeah, yeah.
one
Go ahead,
itis.
go
You know
ahead.
what it is? It's like they're
Hmm.
educated in every other realm, but when you get to this specific subject, it's like they're so hold on, yeah, you already know they're so emotionally damn scarred, emotionally traumatized
Hey,
that
y'all let the young man speak.
they're
Go
intelligent.
ahead,
Yeah,
go
because I
ahead.
seen this. I had to combat with one of these damn feminists in my STEM program. Got her ass kicked out
Hmm.
the second year. She tried it the first year, but what you see on the inside when you actually get to the actual subject is they regress to this sixth grade little girl level of intelligence and understanding. It's like you can't even have a conversation with the person because they just become so emotionally chaotic and perturbed that it's just like you just turned off from the whole conversation. And I'm an emotional person, and I'm also a good debater. And even for me, it's like I get to a certain point where like I could win this shit, but man, fuck this shit. I'm about to go hop on the game. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with your ass and then lose all this emotional patience and feel like a husk.
Pause what you said. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I gotta call senior
Okay, go
privilege
ahead.
right here. You know, because I want to go back because what you just said as a young man is very important. They got all the intelligence in the world, but it's this one glaring blind spot that they're all pretty much toddlers on. And so that to me is I think it's the saddest thing about men, yes, men, but definitely about women because if we're gonna let's let's take men out of the equation. We don't matter for 2 seconds. The unfortunate reality is that men got more time. Period. If you manage not to get yourself murdered or 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 put in prison, you got more time. That's just the reality of the world. You have more time to get it together. You have more time to have an epiphany. You have more time, and that's just the real of it all. And so, what Pookie is saying to me is that's the part I think our society lied to women over the past 50 years on, and that's so unfortunate, right? Because by the time they finally, because people like the Derek Jacksons tie into the subject once again. They lie to these women so much that by the time these women get hit with the real at 45, they're on menopause. 48, they're on menopause, right?
It's
And
too
that's
late.
cool if you already had a kid or two, right?
True.
That's cool if you've been married already. But what about all, and that's going to be my generation and your generation, Pookie. I don't know about Alpha so much, but millennials and Gen Z,
Talk
those
about women.
particular
Women.
women, they're going to wake
Yeah.
up in like at 45, 47, 48, 52, and be like, oh my God, everybody was lying to me and making me feel good. It's too
Right.
late.
Yeah. Except niggas like me, which I have to suffer
Mhm.
social repercussions for it because I get so sick of this shit. Because it's like to a certain extent, I get stuck in an awkward position where like I know the knowledge about like how chicks of my generation like operate, so that does bother me. But it also because of like my disposition and just like the luck of the draw I have being like over average height and over average tall and over average athletic ability and stuff like that and all the other stuff. And this ain't just bragging. I'm just being
Kev, this
straight
nigga
objective about
humble
it.
bragging on your channel.
But
Go ahead,
nigga,
Pookie.
no, we not doing that.
I
See,
know,
I
fuck
knew
with you.
it. God damn
Go
it.
ahead.
But but I mean, my disposition is I know what they're on, and I don't necessarily. How they conduct themselves bothers me with other men, but it still doesn't stop them from being attracted to me. So it's like I get put into this awkward position where I'm damn near holding contempt at times for how they conduct themselves. But I can't necessarily speak on it right then and there. And like if I speak on it, it's gonna cause issues, and she gonna think I'm dusty or some shit or judgmental. It's either I'm dusty, I can't handle her, which is for the black chicks and the white chicks and everybody else. The non black chicks be like I'm overly judgmental and shit. Even though like if I was a white dude with the same kind of stats and shit and the same kind of disposition, being white, they would not be saying this. Obviously, I know this. Obviously, they're saying this because I'm a black man saying this, but still, at the end of the day, somebody needs to tell you because a lot of these chicks are going to end up getting themselves in dangerous situations. They damn near want to be fighting in the bedroom, want to get strangled and shit, and choked out, controlled, damn near kind of raped and manhandled in the bedroom. Literally, I
Pookie,
wish I
pause
was
again,
exaggerated,
real quick. Okay, and I've been trying to find this clip since I found it originally,
hmm
maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, and it was of this petite white girl who admitted that she has control of her life. She's very headstrong. She got she's one of those modern women.
Modern chick, yeah.
She wasn't. Yeah, she wasn't an ugly woman either, but
It
average
gotta be.
looking
It gotta
petite
be.
black woman. I mean, a petite white woman. But she said
Mhm.
she really she's never experienced this, but she wants to essentially be, like you said, be manhandled in sex because she wants to know what it feels like to give up that power. And that goes exactly to what you were saying, right?
And a lot, and
That
then another
go ahead,
thing
go
that
ahead.
black dudes need to worry. I was just gonna add this, and then you get right back because I know you're about to get into. But a lot of things that we need to worry about as black males is a lot of these women when they're talking about they want to get manhandled, they really talking about your dark ass. To be honest, because of all of the stereotypes and the prejudice biases that black males have been accosted with over these last centuries and general decades with the allegations and then the rape allegations and then the rape rumors and stereotypes and the big black buck male raping the white chick or raping her not. That's you as a black man, you are going to see, especially as a young one, you are going to see a lot of that in this generation. And I think it's coming from these prejudiced ass white dudes because
Well,
they're the ones
we
beating.
we have to
They
give
got to be the
the go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say they got to be
Hmm?
the ones beating them up and promoting these stereotypes about black dudes. They barely have to try and
Yeah, they try to
they're
keep them
hyper
away from us.
athletic.
Yeah, they're trying to
They
keep us.
try to, but they still but in the midst of it, they inadvertently hype us up by over
Exactly,
exaggerating, which is like I'm like,
exactly.
bro, stop it. Like motherfucker, okay, so what? I can move at 20 miles an hour. I can only do that for like 1 second. After that second, you could book me. Like I'm a normal human
But
after my fucking gas tank
understand,
is empty.
but here's the thing, right? And
Yeah.
tie to the subject, and this is important.
Hmm.
What we're dealing with, and I want to have somewhat of a macro conversation with this. What we're dealing with is and I was actually kind of getting to it earlier. The economic landscape has exaggerated a lot of the the worst characteristics in human beings, right? Like what they call the dark triad parts of human beings, right? Not just men dark triads, but women dark triads. And the hyper capitalist white men have found a way to capitalize because they're capitalists on it, excuse me. And so they 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 know how to placate men, but it's cheaper to placate women. And so they've decided to double down on women's anger and their delusion and their insecurities. And this is where you get Morgan Stanley. I've brought this up on multiple channels multiple times. This is where you get Morgan Stanley putting out that memo, excuse me, recently, where it's like, you know, 45% of millennial women from about 2018 to 2030 will be single, and many of them will be childless. This is that type of memo. Now tying that to the subject matter, even if certain brothers all going from your age all the way to my age and older, even if they didn't get that memo and they understand in the atmosphere that it's you can garner a lot of attention. You can get a lot of YouTube clicks. You get a lot of money, Twitter clicks, Instagram clicks, if you just regurgitate the same tired old ideas, right? But just do it in a slightly unique way from the next man. You'll get a lot of attention, a lot of money. You'll be invited to schools to lecture and everything like that. Unfortunately for women, as human beings, we like to hear what we like. We're biased. Human beings are biased. That's not exclusive to women. But when you have billions of dollars that's encouraging that bias, that's encouraging that delusion, you get to where we are now. And I think what's unfortunate is many of us who have exer family members and we're watching the women in particular go through it, understand you ain't seen shit yet because the women are of millennials and Gen Z are gonna really go through it. Because I put out a video months ago, maybe like 6, 7 months ago, and I was talking about how, the media influence a lot of the landscape. And a brother said in my comments something like millennials were the first, like, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit. He was essentially like the first people to be advertised to like unfettered, right? There was no government regulation on how much you could push these type of lifestyles and commercials and products at us. I'm saying For us, you're gonna see it even worse than Xers, and I think for your age group, Pookie, Generation Z, it's gonna be even worse because y'all have social media, and we so for millennials, we were already like in our late teens, mid teens, depending on how old you are as a millennial. If you're a younger millennial, you pretty much grew up with it, but you're of a middle age or older millennial. By the time I'm not talking about like AOL, and stuff. I'm talking about like MySpace and up. You're already 13, 14, 15, maybe 12 when those things came out. So for all the younger millennials and Gen Z, they were five or so when they came out. They wasn't going to be on that anyway. By the time they're 9 years old, they're on Facebook. They're on Twitter and Instagram by 10, 11, 12 years old, right? So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, they're on all of the social media websites watching adults curse each other out, watching adults talk about sex. They're watching adult porn, right? They're on Pornhub and all this other stuff. And that's completely changed the landscape. So tying that to these particular content creators, me and Kev, Age, we're having the battle with these particular placators. By the time Pookie them get 30 and 35, the game is done. There is no conversation. Y'all have the conversation for another decade, if that long. I'm giving it too much time. By the time Pookie's 20, by the time that nigga 35, ain't no conversation. Shit, by the time he's 30, ain't no conversation. So y'all all you Derek Jackson types, you Michael Eric Dyson types, you Barack Obama types, enjoy your little insulting black men under the guise of constructive criticism. All you podcasters that like to pretend like you don't know what straight black men are talking about, or black men in general, but definitely straight black men are talking about. Y'all got a decade left at most, and I don't even think it's that long. But hey, enjoy it, and I'll pause right there. Go ahead, Pookie, or anyone else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said,
But
yeah, like I said that this ain't gonna be over for a while. I mean, and I believe that black men are getting in at a perfect time, just so we can affect things and push them in a more positive direction. Because just say that if we just left things alone, um, just like the previous generation had done, I'm beginning to believe that we would be in a much worse spot. But is tired of these things that people keep saying that they're tired of. I believe they're beginning to become more conscious of what we're talking about, because I mean, they get mad, they say it is looking bad, but once they reflect, they understand that a lot of us are telling the truth. It's not something that we're lying about. It's not something we're making up to take the emphasis off us and just to make them look bad. When they really start to examine their themselves and the people around them, then they can't help but to say that this is, well, they're telling the truth. And maybe we need to somewhat straighten up or make it not seem as bad as they're making it out to be. So a lot of the black male content creators, uh, what we are tasked with is playing catch up for all the ones that didn't say anything that was before us. Because if just imagine if our fathers and grandfathers were pretty much on the same type of speech, the same type of tone, and the same type of truth that we were on, would things be as bad as they are now?
Well, say that again, Kev. I missed that question.
No, I was just saying, if our fathers and our grandfathers were speaking like us, like we do here in the Black Manosphere,
Ooh.
would things be as bad as they are now?
I think we would. That's a good question because you're talking about the conversation starting 30 years before it started, on this level at least. And if
Yeah.
you're talking about our grandfathers, you're talking about at least maybe 50, 40, 50 years before, it start, because I peg the larger, yes, I understand Rolo and Alan Roger Curry and them were having conversations like this online and like the early 2000s, right? '03, '02, '05. I understand that. But on this level, this conversation didn't start on this level until maybe 2010, right? So I'm not taking away from Rolo and Alan Roger Curry and them having this conversation like 99, 2000, 2005. I'm not taking away from them. But this kind of larger societal conversation where like anybody that's on social media has touched this at least a little bit, this is way more recent. Um, if our father started that conversation in the '80s or the freaking '70s, oh my God! I mean, first of all, much of the dark age, and I say dark age to say like much of the uh, kind of what we're going through now, most of that would have probably happened in the '90s, right? We would be dealing with the fruits of all the labor of our grandfathers and our fathers. But because it started in the 2010s, we're the ones who are laying the groundwork. Pookie and them are going to continue it, and so our children, as they get older, and definitely by the time Pookie has kids, they become of age, they're the ones who's going to benefit from a greater
Because luckily,
conversation. Go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, luckily, with
Mhm.
all the encounters I had, because I mean, our community is pretty much devoid of male support. But luckily, with
Mhm.
all the STEM programs and then the educational encounters I had, I always had one solid black male. Like for example, for UC Davis specifically, we always had Walter Robinson. Walter Robinson,
Mhm.
head of enrollment management up at UC Davis. He died like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Um, but for a long time, he was making sure that dark skinned males were a few of us were still able to get into these STEM programs. He would make sure that these female head counselors that he appointed, he would get these chicks over six figures. He made sure they would be in check, like I had said before, like where Mr. Walter had to fire the previous orchestrator or head counselor of one of the STEM programs down at UC Davis because, like for example, he had given her 15,000 advance on the rest of her budget for the for the year for the STEM program for the summer programs down at the campus, but she still overspent $30,000 man. She still and had I not caused a ruckus up at the program because of some unseen things she did, like at late night surprising the students by unlocking our doors
Mm.
with the master key, coming in. Well, she did this to me and a couple other students. Like there was another dark skinned student, he had like a real estate mom who was making, $500,000. She still ran up in his room late night and shit because because when she did it to me, he spoke up. So she punished him socially and did it to him like a few nights later. And she would always be calling his parents, calling my parents, and calling all the males' parents pretty much. Because
Mm.
there was only a few of us males, but she would pretty much harass the majority of us for the most part in the program. So I would say had a lot of this interaction, had a lot of this conversation happen earlier. Incidents like that, these STEM programs, I probably wouldn't have never even had
But
an
it
incident
had
like
to,
that in my STEM
Pookie, I have
program.
to say this to you because it's not just you. The brother in
Yeah,
the comments, I wanted to respond to him too. Both Terenzo Jones, shout out to you, Terenzo, and Weather, I want to respond to him about like it had to happen now because the in particular time we're living in. I keep on saying neoliberalism. I need y'all to look up that word so y'all can see what I'm talking about. It's market based everything, right? It's commodifying everything, right? It's putting a price tag on everything. We're living in a just the perfect storm of bullshit that helped to bring about this, right? Because quite frankly, and like y'all hear me say this joke all the time, and I don't know how many understand when I say this joke. The Corey Holcomb line that I tell y'all when he said, "Ladies, don't price
hmm
your pussy out the game." When I
yeah.
say it, y'all have to understand where I'm coming from when I say it because women are doing fine educationally, at least somewhat financially also, but more educationally they're doing better. They're pricing themselves out the game. So when I make that joke, when I say that joke, understand why I'm saying it. You tie that also to the economic landscape. You tie that to the killing of unions. You tie that to neoliberalism. You tie that to commodification of of human beings, that's men and women, young and old. You tie all of those things together, and we get to this space. So these things, we just lived in the perfect time, the powder keg for black men and men in general to finally say, you know what? Believe it or not, men don't have a problem buying women. Men don't even have a problem saving you from yourself. Believe it or not. And I know we're not supposed to say that in polite company, but unfortunately I'm
But
gonna
we
say it tonight.
never did though. We
We
never
never,
did.
but here's the thing that real quick, Pookie, but I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna shut up. The
Yeah.
problem is women done put that price so astronomically high that they're screwing themselves over. And
Mm.
I don't. Once again, I know I'm saying it right now. We're not supposed to say it. So after I say it, don't say it. But you know, that's one of the major issues that we're dealing with is that women have priced themselves out the game, and then they're getting mad at men. They're mad at themselves. Don't get it twisted. They're quiet. They're crying themselves to sleep at night, but they're also mad at men because, well, you should make. They don't even understand the pyramid scheme. They don't understand like the whole class structure and economics. Like that's why I speak the way I speak, and you hear me oftentimes bring up hierarchy in class, in economics in these conversations, because we're talking about men and women, namely black men, but definitely black women, that fundamentally don't understand or don't care to understand how economics plays into their struggle, how Reagan killing the unions, well, they already started to die before him, but Reagan killing the unions by killing the air traffic control union in the 80s, how that affected them. They don't even understand like Bill Clinton and NAFTA and how that affected them. They don't, because all the men that you would possibly date and marry, they got
Hmm.
fucked by NAFTA. They got fucked by the crime bill. They got fucked by the killing of unions. They got fucked. All of those things screwed them. So when you come around and now you're 25, 27, 30, and it's time for you to get married, and you're like looking for this guy that fits these particular marks in life, you don't even count the landscape. You don't even count and that's the problem because you might have been being told by your shack ass dad, oh, well, men are supposed to be this and men are supposed to be that, and he's supposed to be this
Whoopty
Uber
whoopty
provider
woo.
and blah, 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 blah.
Whoopty
And
whoopty woo.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's not the landscape anymore, right?
Mm.
And so you got fucked. So you would rather be single and die alone. And by the way, I'm perfectly okay with women dying alone and being single. But don't blame men because you're too cowardly to fight for your daughters to have the men you didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And
the problem.
Yep. And
Go ahead.
and the other thing about that is they're not willing to fight for these dudes. You want dudes that you don't really qualify for, and you never were really willing to put in any kind of work. So what you're ultimately saying to that man is his value isn't ultimately all that value. Like if he were willing to take you up on your offer for proposed marriage or relationship, but you don't have any education, you have no economic means to offer that man. What you're telling him is he's accrued all this value for a limited return, less than equal return, a half measure in a sense. So I
Pookie,
don't
you know what we're
understand.
talking about? We're talking about, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, brother. I'm gonna shut up in like 60 seconds. I make over $50,000 a year. So I'm in the
Yeah,
top third percent of income earners in America. These sisters would look at me and be like, nigga, you ain't shit.
you're
And these
dusty.
sisters be
You're
making
dusty.
$23,000 a year. They'll call
Right,
me a
right.
dusty. And I'm in the top third of income earners in America, which means in the world, I'm probably in the top 15% or some shit. Right?
You are in the world. In the world for sure, you're in the top 75% of
And
earners. If we're
and
talking
by the
about the
way,
world, you talking
in
about
the
the
grand
world?
scheme of
So
things,
top
50 really
75,
ain't
eighty-five
nothing,
percent
but yeah, yeah. In the
So,
grand scheme, they're right,
really,
but still, it's more than what they make. It,
it ain't nothing. Hey, go tell that to that Asian man in that rice field. I'm sure he
you
would love to
say
switch
that,
spots with you.
say
You're
that,
right. I'm sure
say
because
that,
that motherfucker, he's surviving off less than 5,000 a year. I would love to see y'all
say
try to
that,
do that. You can't get a
say that.
you can't get a Gucci bag and a matching pair of heels off 5 racks. I tell you that.
Wait a
Maybe
minute,
5 racks
Pookie.
in a day, but not a
Hey,
year.
hey,
Pookie,
but
you know
real
what you
quick,
just
hey,
go
real
ahead.
real quick,
Mhm.
shout out to Greg for the Cash App.
Hmm.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your continued support. So,
Hey, what
shout out to
Pookie just
Greg.
said. So, and this is important, Kev, that I say this. So I had a back and forth with a sister a couple months ago, and the comment just popped back up because somebody said something in the comment section of that video, and
Hmm.
she tried to throw Asian men in my face. And I'm happy Pookie just mentioned the Chinese and the rice patties, because I was like, but Asian men in America make more per capita than everybody else, and yet Asian women are still marrying white men. Could you just admit that all y'all women of color are just chasing after white dudes, right?
Yeah.
And I threw that in her face to say, like, stop with all this BS. If black men would just build Wakanda bullshit. No, your issue is that you want to be Karen. I didn't say a white woman. I said Karen because you want to be an upper middle class entitled bitch. And y'all know I don't even speak like that. But you want to be her. And your biggest issue with black men is that they can't make you her because we can't make you white, right? And and
But
I'm saying that all
but
to what
but
Pookie said.
logically, but
Go go
I,
go ahead, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, and
Mhm.
logically, since nobody else can make you white, shouldn't you be mad at everybody else too, including yourself? So ultimately, even if you say to a certain extent it's our fault, which it ain't, but let's just
Mm-hmm.
play devil's advocate. Let's put us in the seat and say it's our fault. Since we can't do it and nobody else has any kind of technology, wouldn't that mean that the blame at very least would have to be shared with everybody else on the planet, including yourself, for not being
That
able
part.
to make yourself white? Because at first, before you can ask somebody else, you have to see if you can do it yourself. And it appears to me that black women have already realized the realization that that is impossible from their perspective. So wouldn't you be more mad at yourself than black men, since we're an external force at the end of the day, and what you're complaining about is highly and heavily internal?
Mm.
I mean, so you're asking people to be a
Yeah.
little bit more self-accountable than they actually are. And I
Do you
don't
mean
know how
about
good
itself
at we.
about about itself as accountable as they should be for a progressing
Yeah,
society,
you
especially with
asking
this
for too
amount of
much, Pookie.
technology?
You asking for way too
This
much, player.
this technology is giving us too much, and that's the problem. Y'all need to learn how some self control before y'all look at this smartphone and go jump off the Golden Gate Bridge thinking it's GTA. A lot of people,
That was
honestly,
funny.
like these kids, like literally these kids, not even just these kids, some adults, some older people will come up and talk to you as if this is a game, as if they can't be walked down that alley either, or
Well,
put a.
you gotta
Just
understand. I'm
saying.
sorry for cutting you, Pookie. See, here's the thing too, and we could tie this all back to the subject because as bad as white money was with mainstream media, there was still a filter. What you're getting with social media is like practically, it's not that it's no filter, but it's practically non-existent. And so you're dealing with people distorted view of their reality versus their social their media presence, their social media presence. That's tied to what you were saying by like and tied to the overall subject where these black male podcasters are in the echo chamber that they help to create causes a lot of people, women namely black women even more specifically, to have a distorted view of reality. And like when we talk to them, like I made a video about a month ago where a sister was like, screw reality, right? Like it's all about like
Screw
no, what she
reality,
said,
huh?
yeah, screw reality, nothing, there's nothing wrong with delusion. Like whose delusion help hurting anyway? You tie that to the overall subject, and like these are the people we're talking about. These are your cat, and I say this on a bunch of videos I've made. These are your cashiers, these are your aunts, these are your moms, these are your younger and older sisters, these are your stewardess that really in the back of their mind, and sometimes even in the forefront of their mind, they're thinking to themselves, screw reality, I make my own reality. And that sounds nice and that's meme worthy, right? It's one of those cool ass memes you'll see on Instagram, but that ain't real.
You
And
know,
unfortunate,
like
go
Thanos with
ahead.
the reality stone. Just
You,
make up their own reality.
bruh. But Thanos was at least fighting some real shit, right? Like the unfortunate part is like these
Barely.
people, well, true, but by the time they come of age, and this is the frightening part, they destroy everything within their path, trying to maintain the lie that they told themselves and that white money helped to bolster. And then when they finally hit, and I'm not saying the wall like Kevin Samuels said it, I'm saying like the reality wall, when you can no longer lie to yourself, when you can no longer BS yourself, when you can no longer pretend like things are okay, when they hit that wall and they shatter along it, believe it or not, and this is what sad I'm about to say, they're even worse. They're even angrier at the world. They're even angrier at black men. They're even angrier at men in general because you lied to yourself. White money helped you lie to yourself. And now that you hit the wall, you are now even angrier than you were in your 30s, in your late 20s. Yes, guys, believe it or not, and it's unfortunate that I'm saying this. The Derek Jacksons of the world, the Barack Obamas of the world, the black male podcasters like Kevin has in his title, they're only helping to make these women even worse when they hit that wall. If you want to know what I'm talking about Vivica A. Fox and how she spoke about Kevin Samuels.
Mm.
When they hit that wall, they're even angrier than before they hit that wall because now they have nowhere else to go and they're going to double and triple and quadruple and quintuple down on the bullshit they were on before because they had hope before the age of 45, before the age of 47, before the age of 48. They had hope. They might have had 2, 3 eggs left, right? But now that there's no hope, and I made the video, I keep on self-promoting myself, my bad, Kev, but I made the video Scorch Earth. They're going Scorch Earth now because they got nothing left. And for me, I'm in a relationship. I'm very happy. I'm literally sitting in my girl's parents' house right now. I want the Pookies of the world to be safe because all the brothers 25 and younger, they're trying to destroy the world for you. They're trying to pollute the environment for you. They can kind of catch some of us as older millennials slipping, but for the most part, we kind of get it. If you didn't catch us slipping in our 20s, most likely you're gonna catch us in our 30s. So now they try to catch y'all brothers 25, 20 and younger. And y'all gotta be really careful because I'm part of the video I made a couple days ago was a grandma talking about she's informing her dark-skinned granddaughter not to date black men, right? And that's cool. I know a lot of brothers are like, yeah, that's cool. I don't care. But let's be honest, she's not just telling her granddaughter that. She's also in polluting her mind about how horrible you are. So if that granddaughter then becomes an attorney, a prosecuting attorney, a defense attorney, a nurse, a doctor, somebody influential, a police officer, imagine the damage she can do because her grandma,
exactly.
Go ahead.
Changing people, changing a good black, our dark skinned students into me, into NBA young boy and shit, because I got a decent fade and I look like a hood nigga because I'm wearing basketball shorts. I mean, forget all the context that I may just play basketball like everybody else, or forget the context that it's a common sport, so forth and the like, and forget all the context that I got all this college stuff with me. None of that matters because we seen somebody that looks like your description robbing a bank. Well, sir, I don't know what that means, ma'am. I don't really know what that means because I'm here waiting at the bus stop. You get what I'm saying? I'm on my way to my internship. I've had multiple encounters like that. I mean, a few white males, but I've had especially a lot of contentious black males, black females as well, especially in positions of authority at times. You got to carry yourself walking kind of on edge, on eggshells, because you don't want her to get like emotionally triggered and shit. You know she's gonna overreact, and if a cop does something out of pocket, especially like a female cop, usually they just gonna blame it on your ass. You going to jail. Especially if you a dark skinned black male, because ain't no way she's gonna write up a report on herself, snitching on herself. No, like, what kind of earnesty is that? No, bro. Like, she's gonna cause you problems. So that's why I
Mhm.
just disassociate
It's just
for the most
it's
part.
just the problem. And I like the title that Kev said. I listened to the beginning of what he was saying, and like that's the issue with these placaters because they. I said this, and I'm one of those people I like when people compliment me, even if I know I'm on the right side of history. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a human being. So I said this on Chase Sade channel, and Obsidian was like, "That's true." I said, you know, the problem with this is like the environment is lying to these particular women, and like by the time they wake up, it's too late. They already screwed their future over, right? That's the type of lane I was in, and that's one of the issues here, right? That's one of the issues. The what they're looking for, and so this is where Obsidian really agree with me. What they're looking for is for a dude to find a way to backdoor right into black men ish. So you may lightly just you know barely touch on ladies. Y'all could have more of a realistic worldview. You could you sounded a little delusional, a little crazy there. You could just barely touch on it, and then find a way to come back to. But the real issue that is that these niggas ain't stepping up, and that's what a lot of women are looking for. It's confirmation bias, right? We already know what confirmation bias is. They're looking for confirmation bias. And by the way, that's not exclusive to women. Men have it, black, white, Asian, Latino, everyone has that. The
Hey,
difference is go ahead, go ahead.
D. Scott, speak real quick. Confirm that it's
Hey,
you.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah, brother.
All right,
Yeah,
cool. Go ahead, Mr. Day.
yeah. Let me finish up and I'll move out your way. So like and I think that's what is a major. It's funny you have Steve Harvey on there talking about confirmation bias. That whole Lori Harvey thing. That's a whole different conversation, right? But once again, confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is what and what social media has done is it's taken whatever confirmation bias morning television shows and some of these soap operas were producing in women and it turned it up to 12, and now the confirmation bias is like next level. It can't I don't It's unfortunate, but I don't know where we go from here, bro. Like I'm in a way I'm really sad about this, and I'm not joking, like because I'm like I didn't it sucks that like intimate relationship gotta damn near be a money or luck thing, right? Like it because you're poor or because you're working class, it shouldn't be impossible for you to get married, stay married, important, have children, and raise them. It shouldn't be impossible. But what we're turning, and this is once again, this is where neoliberalism comes in. We're turning intimate relationships, marriage, childbearing, and child raising into is a goddamn like elite and you know well off type of endeavor. And to me, that's like horrendous. At least in these spaces in the Black Manosphere, we're having that conversation. And that's one of my biggest issues with the women and with these placating ass men, like Kevin was speaking about earlier, is they're not even doing that. They just finding weird ways of insulting black men. Like, fuck you, nigga. Like, could you at least talk about the environment and why these women sound insane? Oh, you can't do that because you're too busy placating them and keeping your nose in their rear ends, right? And I'll pause right there. Go ahead.
Cause Cause to be honest, oh my bad, and then I'll let you go, D Scott, real quick. I'm gonna just say this, cause can those placating ass, plebiscite ass niggas afford to pay to play?
Not
Cause I think
plebiscite.
not. Definitely plebiscite, nigga. Pleb like a motherfucker.
check your cash out by the way, Kev. Go ahead, D.
Yeah,
Scott.
yeah, yeah. I was just about to call it. Yeah, thank you for your support, Mr. Z. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's cash out from Mr. Z.
Definitively plebiscite for sure. And Hotep like a motherfucker.
Go ahead, D. Scott.
Y'all, and it's sad too. It's sad. They be looking like drones and shit, like African spiritual drones with them damn. I don't even know them spiritual hats, them little bucket hats they be wearing and shit, them little toga hats, and them damn dashiki inspired clothing they be wearing. Cause that ain't even official traditional dashiki wear them niggas be wearing half the time. They be getting that shit from Loaves and Fishes and DDs and shit. They be getting a knockoff dashiki. That shit be like made of polyester. That shit ain't made of cotton. Fake ass nigga.
First I want to say, how you doing? How's everyone doing? Let's say shout out to the panel.
What's up, D Scott? I think this is the first time I've seen you on the panel, bro.
Yeah, on here, yes. I've been one to always want to get on, but I'm here at work and whatnot, so sometimes it's a bit loud in the background. But to add to your point, though, that when it comes to those men who do the pandering, all this other stuff, but like because I just watched that video of the El Gibbet dude talking all his shit and everything. And one thing I do know when it comes to men who do pander, they're not really necessarily looking for solutions. They're really just trying to get a quick lick. Anyone who really wants solutions is always going to be candid and always going to be honest about it. They're not going to try to placate. They're not going to try to pander. They're going to call straight down the middle no matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only way you can actually solve any type of problem is being honest and being candid. Now I'll pass it off to whoever else has to say anything.
But we're never going to get there because the community's fucked up and black women's natural instinct. Look, a majority, not the majority, but a majority of black women's natural instinct is to go against what's logically like positive in most cases. For example,
You know what though?
pursuing swag over education and
Let me give them
academic
some space.
accolade, which leads. Oh,
Let me give them
this
some
thing.
space.
Keisha need a
Let
little
me give-
coaching. Ke-
No, it's
Keisha
not
need a
that
little
Keisha
coaching.
need. No. I'm not gonna go there. That's funny. Oh, that's funny. No, I ain't gonna do the Ed. When Ed got that from somebody else. I can't remember who he said that first.
CJ and CJM, I think his name's Clarence.
Oh, it's Clarence that said that for. But when
Yeah.
Ed first said that, I thought that shit was hysterical. No, I ain't gonna say Keisha need a little coaching. That's funny. No, I'll give them this thing. It's you got to understand what white society saw in the 50s, in the 60s, in the early 70s. Black people united, and even though black men and black women had their issues with each other, they at least knew, at least for maybe 2 decades ish, that their bigger issue was the white racist society. And you had a handful of very intelligent, some of them very educated black women who, and this is where what's the heavyset brother, what is the sports guy, the heavyset brother that does the commentary,
Jason Whitlock.
Talk about
Jason
Whitlock.
Whitlock. He said it and he was 100% right. Black women stuck their finger, they licked their finger, they stuck it in the air, and they saw which way the wind was blowing, and they decided to go in that direction, and that was the direction of white feminists. And they've been
He was
fucked
saying that
ever
on Fox
since.
too.
Right? But it's true. It's true. So what ends up happening is that a handful of them around where Charles lived, that DMV area, a handful of them in New York, a handful of them in the LA area got their own house. They're making 120, 150 a year. There's some executive of something. There's some high-ranking attorney, and they don't need no man. A handful of them. But all the rest of black women had to pay for that, for a handful of them to get to that position.
Right. Okay, not even just black women, black men, and everybody else outside of the country, which nobody talks about, but I will. Everybody else outside of the country. Third, of course not, but we're not gonna talk about it. But it don't matter because if everything is connected and everybody has to pay for something, then they're paying for something that we're getting. No matter how we get it. So at the end of the day, they're third in it. So everybody else has to pay
Pookie,
for 10% of black women.
Let me ask you this, Pookie. If many black, whether they know how to articulate it or not, if many black women's goal is to be white women, do they really care about whatever Asian or African is struggling in a third world country to produce
they should. They should because they don't. They should because they don't have white women protection.
That's not what I asked you.
They should. They don't.
I said,
they don't. They don't. But that's very dumb because ultimately you gotta be aware of your own reality, and you are not
Yeah.
white women, and you don't have a U.S. industrial military
Mm-hmm.
complex behind you that is still protecting you some
Mm-hmm.
way and still sheltering you with all this bullshit coming out of your mouth. And to be honest, that military industrial complex for white women is getting small. That umbrella is getting smaller, and they getting hit with rocks. To be honest, everybody's kind of getting hit with rocks right now. White men getting it, white women are getting it, and I don't understand how black women think they just gonna be the only ones just
Because
talking shit about everybody else. And
Pookie. This is the problem, ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I don't mean like I'm not trying to use it as an insulting word. I mean truly, they don't know. Here's the important part. Nor do they care about what we're talking. So when we're talking, and you frequent BGS, we all frequent BGS channel. We talk about the global landscape. We talk about Bitcoin. We talk about politics. We talk about social issues. We talk about all these things that just reverberate throughout the planet and throughout American society and how they
doesn't
affect
even
that.
connect. Doesn't even
And they
connect.
can,
Big
here's the
Bitcoin
thing:
drop
the
half it.
black women don't. Go ahead.
Bitcoin Bitcoin dropped half its value in the last 6 to 8 months due to the pipeline being closed and a lot of money
And
getting
guess
pulled out of the
what?
speculative bubbles. Nobody
You're
gives
a
a fuck.
20-year-old that's saying that. You understand that we have 30 and 35 and 40-year-old men and women in the black community, but namely women who don't know. Not only do they not know, but they don't care. The unfortunate part, this is why them not caring matters. But even with all their ignorance, they still are arrogant enough to demand a particular type of man out of you.
You,
You see what I'm
you
saying?
know what?
That's the
It's all
major
good.
issue. Go ahead.
That you know what? It's all good.
Hmm.
And you know what? They have the exact right to do that. They can demand any kind of man they want, and ultimately that works for me because
Hmm.
I'ma just fill those needs. Any black women like in the future, in about 20 years,
Hmm.
come to Sir Pookie True. Y'all can come live. Y'all can come live out of my condo, room from room. We'll split it up by room. I'll charge y'all a decent rate. Y'all need any car repairs, house repairs, stuff like that. I got decent rates for that. So people help people at the end of the day, and I got to get paid. So
Hey,
it's
bro.
really not even an
That's if
issue
they
for
can
me. So
even
we can
afford your
outsource them
apartment
skills.
in the future. And that's we're
No, I work
we're
with him. I work with
and
him. I
and this
take every the last cent in their pocket. I ain't worried about that.
and that
But
once again, this is tying that to the subject, but I keep on wanting to tie it back to the subject matter that Kev had. You know, why these things once again matter is okay, you're delusional. You were encouraged to be delusional by white media, by black female content creators on social media, and now you're 43 years old, 45 years old, and you got nothing to show for your delusion. And you're mad at the world, so you try to take it out on Mr. Z. Mr. Z is married, he's too mature, you ain't gonna catch him slipping. You try to take it out on Pookie. He's been in the manosphere, now he's 30 years old, he's been in the manosphere for over a decade, black manosphere for over a decade, it ain't gonna work on him. So you try to catch one of our younglings who's 20 now in the let's say we're in 2022, so let's say in the next 2032, you try to catch a 20-year-old slipping who's not in the black manosphere. You send your
well,
daughter at
I'm
him,
still waiting.
you try
Sir
go ahead,
Pookie,
go ahead.
Sir Pookie, and the other Z, we still waiting in the bushes. We watching y'all. Don't worry.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
going nowhere. We
Well,
not going
not just for
anywhere.
you, but this is the thing. You have to not watch for them just for you. You have to watch for them, for the youngers, for the alphas that's going to be coming up behind you, for
Exactly.
the generation
They
alpha
already
coming up
they
behind you.
get
Go ahead.
they gamed up and they already look. They came up
Yeah,
with the
you're right
sword.
about that.
Like we
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
pick the sword up, but they
That's
came up
true.
with the sword.
But
So don't even worry about that. They gonna hold it down.
one
We
Go
done
ahead, go
thing
ahead.
trained them
will
right. Trust. We got that training right
one
though. That
one
indoctrination definitely hit.
got you. One thing I will add, I do have an
Hmm.
18-year-old and a 17-year-old. And I myself, I'm 39. And I will say, definitely, when it comes down to the alphas, in that
Hmm.
sense, I speak to my son, and I do speak to my son's friends via video chat sometimes about Mansper topics and shit, and I never even introduced them to any of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? My son knows about KS, and that's about it. You know what I'm saying? But I've introduced him, of course, to BGS. Actually, you, Mr. Z, you, Kev. I think probably
No,
you,
thank you.
Puku. I can't remember if I actually share. I'm gonna make sure to share a link to him once we end this stream. But yeah, this newer generation definitely they really don't give. I think you have a super chat, Kev. My bad.
Yeah. Thank you, Gilgamy. He says, "Greeting, long live the habitual line steppers. Women don't care about large scale. Long live, brother.
100% right.
Yeah,
And to
thank
be honest, how Kevin structured his platform, you only really need to watch his platform to get 80 to 90% of information anyway. So it's all good. From any angle you hit us from, we got information pouring out the
Well,
ass. So it's all good.
let me stress this too, and I want D Scott to finish after I say this.
Oh,
The
but
interview.
basically,
Go ahead.
okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, my apologies. Real quick. So what I was gonna say is
Mhm.
what because Pookie triggered this thought in my head just now with what he said. When I was watching the interview with Amanda Seals and they were talking about Kevin, it's not hypocrisy. It's worse than hypocrisy. It's just making a statement and be completely oblivious to how that statement applies to you. When she was saying, surface level and not trying to ground, these things, and I'm like, but these women weren't coming on looking for like these kind of ephemeral, ethereal, larger, Zoe Williams kind of emotional, spiritual type of. They weren't having that. They were like, hey, I want this lifestyle. I want this type of man. I want him to make this type of money, have this type of house, drive this type of car. Like, why? And Kevin met them at their level. Any dude that tries to bring them up into a larger, more sophisticated, spiritual conversation, they gonna call you a hotep and just dismiss everything you say as like some dusty that's trying to make black women adhere to some poor man's logic. So Kevin met them at where they were and then told them, oh, by the way, you may not be worthy of what you're talking about. And so, I think that's one of my major issues is like these particular women, the Amanda Seals of the world, listening to him and then pretending like the superficial conversation is just a masculine conversation. Like the women aren't walking in the door. And this is why I said neoliberalism and all that other stuff, the commodification of humanity. These women are walking in the door, commodifying masculinity, having a very market-based view. That's neoliberal, by the way. Market-based view of humanity and men and black men in particular, and then going on a Kevin Samuel show talking about men like we're a fucking hammer or a wrench or a car, but some tool that they can use and discard. And watching someone like Amanda Seals completely ignore that part, but then talk about men like we're the ones who are initiating this, when Kevin Samuels is responding to that, and larger black manosphere is responding to that, is my issue. But go ahead, D Scott.
Cause
Yeah,
oh yeah, go ahead.
yeah. It's real crazy that I saw that. I didn't watch the entire video or at least the interview for when she was speaking on Kevin Samuels. I actually watched probably like the first 2 minutes of it, and when she was mentioning that surface level stuff. And I was thinking with the entire time, I was like, ain't this the same bitch that tried to get this one doctor like locked up or
Yep,
whatnot?
Myron Roll, like Kev said, yep.
Yeah, is that I miss a lot of the stream. My apologies. But yeah, I was just thinking about that shit the entire time, and I was like, I can't even take it. I mean, I never took it serious anyway because I thought she was just a crazy light skinned bitch. But outside of that though, I mean, it's amazing how someone can actually hold a mirror up to somebody and they can still be in so much cognitive dissonance that they do not even see themselves. That they literally cannot.
Say that.
They cannot. They cannot quantify or even get to the point to where it's like, okay, maybe this person's talking about me. So hit dogs holler. So if I'm hollering, then I'm the one with the fucking problem. But why change anything if, like you mentioned earlier, Mrs. Z, that basically the environment in mass supports delusion. It supports dissidence, mainly because, like we talked about probably a couple last month or some shit, there's a lot of money made in this shit. You know what I'm saying? So as long as there's money made to lie to people, this type of shit will always be around.
D Scott, I think you saw my video where I said hey boy, hey, that antidepressant pill, I'm telling y'all right now, if y'all want to get y'all money up, invest in whatever
Hold on.
antidepressant
So, well, yeah,
pills.
antidepressants. Well, that's for everybody in the society, shit, including me. Because I
That,
mean,
you
just
know what though, you're right.
living in it's just a symptom. It really is. I get what you're saying. It's
Mhm.
being it's being extrapolated and it's being
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead, brother.
accelerated. But what I'm saying is it's just a general symptom of laissez-faire capitalism and the fact that putting a money value on everything makes things so predatory when you live in a hegemonic system. That's why socialism needs to be more integrated into the system. So it's
Pookie,
Is
wait.
it
I'm sorry
hegemonic?
for interrupting you. Pookie just said laissez-faire capitalism. He's 20 years old. How many sisters are 35, 40 years old and understand what he just said?
the free market concept, the
They
concept
don't know what you
of
just said. I
limiting
need you to break it down
limit.
for him. I
Fuck
know
it, I'm
what
gonna
you
break it
mean.
down for you.
Go ahead.
Limiting government interaction into business to the point where people who have leverage in certain business agreements can partake in acts that may be seen as predatory, such as maybe
No
potentially
government.
manipulating
Let me
someone.
say it in a few words though. Let me say it in a few words. No
Yeah,
government regulation on super hyper capitalists like Jeff Bezos, so they get to do whatever the hell they want to do
whatever they
and
want.
predatory practices. Go ahead.
They can finesse. He can finesse people out of money. He can be fiscally irresponsible with his LLC resources and
And he
stuff
gets
like
to
that.
crush other competition before they even get off the ground.
Monopoly.
He does. He does when he gets to monopolize it. Well, they kind of try to consider it more of an oligarchy with with eBay and stuff like that. But it's still ultimately even an oligarchy. If they have similar motives, it acts generally the same as a monopoly. So the ultimate difference is irrelevant. Um, Jeff Bezos, people like Jeff Bezos are allowed to act predatory in business with, like you said, with competition with Asian competitors and stuff
Mhm.
like that. Even with eBay, Amazon, they can act predatory with
And by the
women
way,
due to stream of money.
this
Because you
affects
can't
your
tell you
intimate
cannot
relationships.
yep because you
Mhm.
cannot tell somebody like Jeff Bezos you can't get somebody else. Especially
Well,
you really can't tell him you can't get somebody else like you at all.
even and by the way, he stepped down from Amazon. Let's be honest. Did that nigga really step down? I don't know, but he stepped
He's
down
on the
from Amazon.
board.
He's still on the
He's on the
board, so
board.
yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
on the
he's
board.
still on the board, but he's not the CEO anymore. So these
Who
affect
owns
your
who owns the
intimate
stock?
relationship.
Who
Well,
owns the
I think
majority stock?
he's still majority owner, right? So these affect your intimate relationships. So if you because by the way, everybody's having sex with everyone. So I notice when Mr. Z never talks about sex like that, right? Because every one thing working at that law office taught me is that everybody's piping everyone. So that's a different conversation. But when we talk about who's getting married and who's marrying who and who's staying married, now we're talking about class, money, status, people's innermost desires and stuff,
True
right?
family wealth.
Exactly. So what ends up happening, that's when you start to see people start throwing a fit about these type of things. So why um this kind of neoliberal, like Pookie said, laissez-faire capitalist model matters is because at least in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, you didn't have to be upper middle class to not only get married, because a lot of people are going to get married, but stay married, right? Yes, we all have our quirks and we all have our shortcomings when it comes to our personality, but we're talking about right now just socioeconomics. The problem that we're dealing with now is that the price of intimate relationship between heterosexual people and marriage has become so goddamn expensive. And it's not that it's expensive, it's that the way people, women namely, see marriage and why they would be married and stay married has become insane because of the television shows from the 90s, because of free market capitalism, because you allowed rich, wealthy white men to you. Zoe said this one time, and I thought it was genius. We've allowed economists to define what love should be, what marriage should be. I thought that was fucking genius when he said that shit, and he said that like maybe 6 years ago or something, 7 years ago or something, and I thought it was genius because it's true. So even with all the things we say about sisters and this, in this side of the Black Manosphere, all of what we're saying is true. But I like us to not just get bogged down by like personality quirks and like stuff like that. No, there is a larger environment that's encouraging whatever negative is in human beings, it found a way to profit off of that shit.
Hmm.
And until we address that, oh boy, you're gonna have Derek Jackson a million times because why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't he say the things that he's saying to garner black women's support and make money off of them?
Yeah. There's like we talk about. There's always money made in that
Mhm.
shit. Honestly, I
Yeah.
don't see anything. But the thing is that it's all just a rinse, wash, repeat of the bigger system itself and whatnot. In regards to it, just breaks it down to more of a micro level when it comes to you have a whole bunch of people operating the exact same way, of course, and it's I don't blame them. You know what I'm saying? At all. It's like because I do photography also, and I made a vow years ago that I was not going to shoot any overweight women, and I haven't, and I've lost money because of it. I'm quite sure of it. But the things that my what I stand for, what actually is representative of me, means more than anything else. And there are other people out there that really don't give a shit about that. They just want to make the money, and that's all they're really concerned about. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's always a cost to it. And a lot of people are willing to actually pay that cost to basically sell themselves. You know, and it's just really it's sad, but if that works for them, that works for them. You know, but does it work for the bigger picture? No, it doesn't. Of course not. But
Does it work for them though, D? Does it work for them?
in the long run, never,
You see what I'm saying?
never. It can't. It can't because it can't support itself. Just like the bigger system itself, it can't support itself.
Okay, let
You
me
know what
let
I'm
me
saying?
do this real quick.
Go for it.
Kev, where are you located right now?
I'm in the South. I'm in Georgia.
Let's say Georgia. Pookie's in the Bay Area. I'm in South Florida. D, where you at?
I'm in Virginia.
Virginia. So Virginia, South Florida, West Coast California, Georgia, and yet we're all seeing the same things in our day-to-day interactions.
Mhm.
Well,
I'm just saying.
And I live in a far more free market than y'all, and I can still see this occurring. And to be honest, it's actually accelerated.
I would say that. Yeah,
It's actually
Bay Area is more free
it
market
is,
than Miami.
but it don't even matter, Mr. Z, because it's accelerated. It's accelerated here. It's worse
Yeah,
here
yeah, you're right.
because the lifestyle and the fact that all the celebrities live here, bro. And that shit gets people up in their fantasies and their hopes and dreams just because you live in the same state as Will Smith. But you never gonna meet Will Smith. You're not gonna meet these people to be in their space to like even have an opportunity.
Nigga
So
said,
it's like,
I live in a state with 40 million people, but I swear I'm gonna meet Will one day.
right, fuck out of here.
hey,
Oh
hey,
my God. Go ahead, Kev.
I'm gonna say this, and then like I'm gonna get people to go ahead and say their final statements because it is
Okay.
getting late. But yeah, the one thing that we have to understand and realize is like since we as men have avoided this kind of commentary for so long, we have to understand that people, especially B dubs, are still not used to this. They're still not used to hearing people tell them the truth. They're used to people pacifying them and coddling them and kissing their asses. And, you know, because they have been such excuse my French when I say this, because they've been such bitches, uh, we are starting to depart all of the ass kissing and all of the coddling that and all of the placating that we used to do, and it's even to the point where it's making the simps look bad now. So that's one thing. They're tired of podcasts because we're just being honest with them, and they are still not used to their honesty. When it was happening before, it only fed into their narcissism. So
They're still over there shredding soft ass dudes like Mr. Let Go. I be watching that shit like every day. Hilarious old pinball ass nigga getting his ass torn apart by some chicks that wouldn't even be interested in him just because of some half measured talking points that he won't even fully definitively stand on. Mr. Let Go don't even stand on nothing. He's highly apologetic. But this man still gets women coming up on here
Tell him why you mad,
telling him off.
son.
I'm just saying, man.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just
then
saying, I'll be watching that shit. This shit ridiculous.
yeah, and
Hey,
then like
Kev,
it does.
you remember that Biggie skit where he was like, "These niggas ain't recognizing." That's Pookie right now. Tell him why you mad, son.
Yeah, bro.
Mad rapper.
This shit is.
Right, whack rapper, exactly.
Yeah, the mad
Whack
rapper.
rapper. Yeah, it was the mad rapper and the whack rapper, right?
Oh yeah. The whack
Yeah,
rapper. Yeah, that was
the
that.
whack rapper. Yeah, bro. Pookie, this way before your time. But go ahead, Kev. My bad. I cut you off.
Shit, I forgot.
Mad rapper's 50 Cent.
Mhm. Oh man, but no, what you're saying, I'll make this my ending statement too. So, what you're saying is true. Look, these particular people, they placate, they ego stroke. Some of them at best are purple pill at best. Um, but we're gonna let them be. The environment is going to take care of a lot. That's if, once again, and that's if these people don't start to kind of manipulate the environment in a way that is conducive to these particular insane women's worldview. But if not, the environment will take care of a lot. We won't have to do too much. The problem is some of us are going to get caught up. Some of us are going to get the wrong woman pregnant. Some of us are going to fall in love with the wrong woman. Some of us are going to move into the wrong neighborhoods and befriend the wrong dudes who have the wrong wives. But for those of us who are not going to be in that position, because you occupy this space, you will have an understanding of these things that these, tied to the subject, these black male podcasters refuse to talk about, or they refuse to be honest about. And I'll end with this. Now is the time to get as much of your ducats in a row as possible, as much of your ducks in a row as possible, excuse me, because the landscape is changing and we're turning everything. This is capitalism's last gasp. I don't know where we go from this. Like Pookie was saying, we might go to excuse me, into like a kind of hybrid, a more of a hybrid capitalist socialist society. We're already somewhat, but it might go a little bit
It will
more to
have
the
to be.
socialist
It
side.
got to be a hybrid because I mean,
It,
full socialism at this point is kamikaze,
yeah,
especially with these
it's not
interest
gonna
rates.
happen. You're right, but so we might slant over, but just in case we don't, in case we double down on this foolishness for the next century, and go maybe more to the fascist side of the game before we come back to the socialist side of the game. If we go to the fascist side of the game, understand these women will sound even crazier than they do now. They will double and triple and quadruple down on their insanity. They will destroy themselves, but guess what? If you near them, they're gonna destroy you too. So for the brothers in this space, be happy you're in this space. Be happy you have content creators like Kev having these conversations, and be careful around these women and around the placating ass male followers, right? And placators, right? And I'll end it right there. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for having me up, Kev, and I'll holler at y'all later.
Take it
Word.
easy, brother.
All right, thanks for coming through. Either one of you other ones can go, Sir Pookie or D
I'll
Scott.
I'll get right now because I have to go on a debris run. I agree full-heartedly with what Mr. Z is saying, and the way I look at it is that you save who you can. You know what I'm saying? You can only lead a horse to water, but you can't make it think. You know, so those who take heed, take heed. If they don't, that really they have no one else to blame but themselves. You know, but I know a lot of brothers here, they if they're listening to this or any other content out there and everything, they're already starting off on the right foot. I'm looking at two brothers right now that just share their link, share links and whatnot to them earlier, whatnot, because they had no clue what the Black Manosphere was. They just knew who Kevin Samuels was, and I was like, you know what, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So people will listen if they want to listen. If they don't, they don't. They're on their own. You know, but y'all brothers take it easy. I'm gonna go drive in a circle. Much love to all of you and your families and whatnot, and y'all stay up. All right, peace.
All right, appreciate it, and appreciate you for coming through to give us your thoughts. And this is exactly what this particular platform is for black men to give their thoughts and their perspectives. So, Sir Pookie, what's the deal?
Yeah, I would just say, man, like if y'all didn't get it together, like after these 2 years, like if you didn't figure out what the game plan was, and like me personally, I had to make a degree change during this time, organize my business plans, stuff like that, and actually, get employed to do some career changes with my like immediate job, like get into the factory industry, that still has some type of productivity. If you didn't take these last 2 years where you had a basically an entire world economy pause, and even the celebrities were in the house type thing, where we literally had a period for 8 months where nobody was doing anything at all. So if that wasn't enough for you to get your life together, if you're still out here complaining in the same situation, then you was never gonna get fixed from the beginning, and you was always rolling downhill. So it's like,
Yeah,
but yeah, thank you for having me up here. Appreciate it.
word. And when you are a panelist up here, and you're pretty much spitting some truth, some brutal honesty, you're always welcome. But one thing that a lot of these people, a lot of these simp lords, a lot of these bitter female feminist types are not realizing is a lot of these black male podcasts they say they're tired of hearing is actually trying to help because the content ain't necessary. I mean, for the people who complain, the content ain't necessarily for you. It's for people who are seeking uh, some answers to the framework of insanity, and we understand and we led very real lives that led to us being able to say these things. So at the end of the day, y'all should be thanking us. We is the purpose is not to cause division and not to cause conflict. It's so things can ultimately improve. And and just like with me, I'm encouraging each and every one of you to be the best versions of yourself, not to go, not to be at odds with each other, but to be less at odds with each other. But D. Scott touched on something that really, like I've been saying a lot. When I have these live broadcasts or podcasts or whatever they're calling it these days, and it's called Save the Cooperative. Meaning that there's not much effort and much saving you have to do with that. But if they hate us that much, all they have to do is switch to something that they want to watch, just like any of us. You can say you're tired of it if you want, but what I'm starting to believe is y'all actually like it when we say this stuff because think about it. No one has had the courage until this point to actually say these things. You resent the fact that someone didn't say these things to you earlier and now it's all coming out. So my suggestion to people who are in the space, people who speak this way, and especially with the Black Manosphere, to continue to do what we do best. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you once again for all of your support, all of your viewership. Chat, you're always the best. I appreciate all of your input. And to the panelists, Toya, Sir Pookie Truth, D. Scott, and Mr. Z, especially, who has contributed a lot to this conversation. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see y'all on the next go round. But for right now, I'm a little drained. So, yeah, thanks for all of your patience with me, and I will see you guys on the next time. So let's end it here. Long live the habitual line steppers. In Kev we trust. I'm gonna win, and when that happens, we will win. Uh, Peace out. Till next week. Oh, wrong video. Sorry. Damn, wrong video again. I'm tired as fuck. Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys. You guys are so forgiving anyway. So just pretend like those two just didn't happen. So peace out.